So Virginia Giuffre obviously died in April. Had a terrible life, I think, to be quite frank. And she has worked apparently on this memoir for 4 years before she died. It's 400 pages long. We are told that it's going to be intimate and disturbing, heartbreaking new details about her time with Epstein, Maxwell and Prince Andrew. This is an absolute nightmare for Prince Andrew, isn't it, in the royal family? But Virginia Giuffre maybe has every right to tell her story. What's your guys' thoughts?
But I find it astonishing that, I mean, obviously she was extremely disturbed and very, very sad situation that she committed suicide, seemingly. Makes you wonder, you would have thought the book would have kept her going, knowing the book was going to come out and she was going to get her side of the story out even more. So
Yeah.
she must have been in a terrible state. So it's very, very tragic. But this is, clearly going to haunt Andrew she's going to haunt Andrew and others from beyond the grave, so to speak. And I mean, he must be worried about what's going to come out.
Yeah, I mean, but I do think this book is a nightmare for him and actually the royal family in general, because I think that they thought after she died that whole thing had been kind of put to bed. Andrew could kind of go off into the shadows, not to be really seen publicly again or not to be seen with the family. That's not true. Yes, from beyond the grave, she is still kind of haunting them, so to speak. And I think that this will kind of go on and on and on. It won't. I mean, the fact that she even wrote a book, I mean, not to sound tinfoil hat, and Phil, you were saying this too, shows a lot about the fact that, it just puts into question a lot of what's happened around her death and puts a lot of unanswered things around it. I mean, even the fact that she posted on Instagram that she was fighting for her life 4 days beforehand. I think the conspiracy theorists will have a field day with this whole thing.
Well, in the email she sent to the journalist, I think it's Amy Wallace, the email she sent to the author, it was Amy Wallace, who's helped her write the book, which will come out in October. She said it was a heartfelt wish, this is shortly 3 weeks before her death, she said it was a heartfelt wish that the memoir be released regardless of her circumstances. But she's in this email, she's talking about the book will shed the light on systematic failures that allowed trafficking of vulnerable individuals, imperative the truth is understood, for the sake of justice and awareness. And she says, in the event of my passing, I would like to ensure that nobody's girl is still released. I believe it has the potential to impact many lives and foster necessary discussions about these grave injustices. There's going to be other people, not just Andrew, quite worried about this. But what else does it mean to the royal family as a whole to have a book now coming out that's from Virginia about Prince Andrew?
Tonight, the shadow over the British monarchy deepens. Prince Andrew, long a figure of controversy, faces a new wave of scrutiny. Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused him of sexual misconduct, is releasing a memoir, and the revelations within could haunt him forever. This is not just another royal scandal, it's a nightmare that Buckingham Palace hoped would never resurface. Virginia Giuffre first entered public consciousness as one of the key witnesses in the Jeffrey Epstein saga, a story that exposed a network of wealth, privilege, and abuse. Her allegations against Prince Andrew sent shockwaves through the royal family and forced the Duke of York into an early exile from public life. Now, years later, with the publication of her memoir, the details may return to haunt not only Andrew but the entire institution of the crown. According to early reports, Giuffre's book revisits her alleged encounters with powerful figures and names Andrew directly. For the Duke, it's a reopening of wounds he's tried desperately to close. While the palace has remained silent, royal watchers say this could reignite calls for transparency and accountability, something the monarchy has long resisted when faced with scandal. For King Charles, this memoir is another crisis on top of many. As he works to modernize the monarchy and protect its image, his brother's name returns to the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Behind palace gates, advisors are said to be in damage control mode, weighing whether to further distance Andrew or quietly let the storm pass. But one thing is clear, silence can no longer shield the royals from the power of public opinion.
Well, I don't think it'll get much worse for him. I mean, there's no way he's going to come back. It would just reconfirm for both the king and for the Prince of Wales that there's no way back for him. I think it's going to be even worse for him when William becomes king, because I think he really will try and kick him out of the Royal Lodge. He was up last week, a few days ago, at Balmoral with the king. Fergie, his ex-wife, was up there, and I think their children went up there as well. with their families. So, you know, they're still welcome at family holidays and still welcome, probably see them next Christmas. I think we'll probably see them at Sandringham. And, you know, he's not going to completely ostracise him from family events. I mean, that would be ridiculous. But, you know, there's just no way that he's going to be able to come back as a working royal in any way, shape or form. And this is just yet another, you know, another example of why he can't, you know. But that's where we are. So I think that's all it means to the royal family. There's not much more they can say about it, really, or much more they can do about it, apart from, you know, just make sure that he's in a corner somewhere and that's it.
Yeah.
We talk about being in a corner. You point out he was at Balmoral for a week, I think, or about roughly a week up there with Sarah. But we photographed him disappearing from the estate at 6 a.m. on Sunday. This is the day. It's quite a big day in the royal calendar. It's the day where all the royal family go to Crathy Kirk Church. The King, the Queen, Catherine, William, their 3 children, I think Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, I think, were pictured going there. And it's quite a big day in the summer. It's a time when we get them all together for photographs. A couple of years ago, Andrew was in the car with William.
Yeah.
Do you think he was banished from this family event this time?
I don't know is the short answer. You know, he'd been up there a week. They do come and go. Not that they stay in the same place. I mean, they tend to stay in separate cottages and parts of the castle. So that's not a problem. Plenty of rooms up there. But there's no love lost between William and Andrew. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that was highlighted in Andrew Lowney's book recently, and he even said that Harry had a fist fight with Andrew, so that he's not a great fan of his either. So, you know, he's unfortunately, he's the bad uncle at the moment. He's not particularly welcome, and you know, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Was there anything interesting about the trip to Crathy Kirk Church? I mean, at the front page of our paper, we have the wonderful Princess of Wales with a potentially, or is it just the filter, or is it just the way the picture was taken, but potentially with a new blonde haircut?
I think she's gone blonde, like quite blonde. The highlights are really showing. I mean, she's actually, if you look, she's been gradually going gradient by gradient, more and more light. If you look at, you know, photos from like 2007, she's completely quite, you know, very dark. I think with her hair, I think it's a nice touch. I think that she's gone through a lot. The hair has been a massive conversation for her, considering her cancer diagnosis, and I think that it's nice. I mean, my hairdresser once said to me, "As you get older, go lighter. That's the answer." So I think she's just taken that advice.
They've been on holiday, haven't they? Haven't they been on a yacht in Greece, around the Mediterranean? So the sun might have the sun, as in the sun in the air, not the Sun newspaper. You know, it has had an effect on her. But it could be a combination of, you know, slightly lighter because of the effects of the sun, and also the lighting on that particular day. But until we see her on a job, we won't know if she's gone legally blonde, so to speak.
Do you think she suits blonde?
No, I prefer brunette. I think she looks much better darker.
She is like the most iconic brunette ever. I think since I've been going, like since I was probably 12 years old going to the hairdresser, I've been showing photos of her genuinely to them to be like, please just do whatever this is. Of course, they never, I'm not Kate, but she needs to stay brunette. If she's actually that exact colour, I'll be like, Kate, you need to reel it back a little bit.
It actually looks like she's blonde on one side and dark on the other, doesn't it, in that photo? It's a bit like...
That would be a whole other conversation. Crisis.
But it wasn't just that photo. There was some other photos from a different angle where she definitely looked like she had a lighter hair.
Till we see her on a proper job, we won't really know, will we?
No.
Until it, you know, but it's a talking point. It gave you a great headline, Heir to the Throne or whatever.
Because I remember when her and William went to the Isle of Mull for Valentine's Day. I think there was a couple of engagements and we joined them up there to report on it. She definitely had lighter coloured hair there, and I'm told that in the summer she just goes a little bit lighter. So maybe it's just temporary. But however, this time last year we were talking about William's new beard, because William revealed his beard when he went to the drive to the church, and that stayed.
Yeah, he obviously thinks it suits him. He does look good, I think, with the beard.
Yeah, I mean, when you're lacking on one sort of end of the spectrum.
Well, I was going to say, there's always this compensation thing if you're going bald, isn't there? But you know, whether completely bald with a beard looks good, I'm not sure about that. But I think at the moment he looks good, and he looks, you know, he looked back at the photos of the royals, you know, in decades and centuries gone by. You know, and he's following in a big family tradition there with the beards. So yeah, I think it suits him.
British tabloids are already calling it the book that could break the Duke. Social media has erupted, some sympathising with Giuffre's courage to speak, others questioning motives and timing. The court of public opinion is once again divided, but the one constant is fascination, the enduring pull of royal scandal and redemption. For Prince Andrew, redemption seems almost unreachable. Stripped of his royal duties and titles, living largely in seclusion, he's a man bound by his past. This memoir may cement his fate, not as a working royal, but as the monarchy's most controversial figure of the modern era. The monarchy has weathered wars, abdications, and divorces, yet few scandals have struck so deeply at its moral core as new generations demand transparency and justice. The institution stands at a crossroads. Giuffre's story may not only define Prince Andrew's legacy but force the royals to confront an uncomfortable truth that no crown is untouchable. As Virginia Giuffre's memoir hits shelves, one question remains: can the royal family ever truly escape its past? For Prince Andrew, it's a haunting that no amount of silence can bury, and for the monarchy, the nightmare is only just beginning.